Zane, you almost had a girl. What were you doing, Zane? You almost had it. You were almost out of there. Child, let's get right into the episode. It's your boy Jamar back with another video. Back with another banger. Today review on Ruthless. Season 6, Episode 5 entitled Powerless. And today's episode was actually pretty decent. It was okay. Not much happened, but it was enough. So let's get right into the episode, child. So the episode starts off in the last week with, the Highest confronting Teresa and basically asking her why did she come back if she left, and she's basically like, being smart with him or whatever. And he also sees that Ruth is bleeding, and he tries to get on Manny, but Ruth offends Manny, saying, "I was throwing up and I asked Brother Manny for some privacy," and then that's when Teresa snuck me from behind. So then the Highest, so then Manny suggests they take her to the punishment chair, but Ruth says she wants her to torture. So they end up tying Teresa up, and Ruth gets a wooden, a whip, like they did back in the slave days, and starts whipping on Teresa. I'm like, oh my God. So she's whipping on Teresa, which is valid because Teresa did beat on her for no reason. So I really don't feel bad for Teresa because she's just stupid. So she started whipping on Teresa bad until she started bleeding. And then Ruth started feeling an infection. So they took her to the infirmary. So Mandy ended up taking her to the infirmary, and Zane goes to check on Ruth. But then Mandy ends up mentioning the weddings again. Zane tries to brush it off. So then Zane is talking to Ruth. And basically, Ruth tells Zane that basically it's time for her to leave. So basically, she wants her to get the car and start driving off because it's time for her to leave. And then she's like, "No, I'm not leaving without you. I'm not leaving without you, Jonah River." And she's basically just like, "I'll be fine. You just need to leave because I'm not leaving until every one of these people are dead." That's what Ruth is saying. So then, Zane agrees, and then she leaves. So then the people are taking a shower, and basically the shower goes off. So they all start freaking out, and they try to figure out what's going on. So then the elder mother ends up telling the Highest, and the Highest is asking Joan what's going on. He basically is suggesting that did Joan not pay the bill. So then Joan says she did pay all the electricity bills and this and that and the third. So then they go back to check on Teresa to get information out of her, and she's not giving them information. So they end up electrocuting her, and then the power ends up going out. So then she ends up laughing because she's like, "Aha, you can't do nothing to me now because the power's off," or whatever. So then the elder mother tries to get River to everyone else to start getting water from the well. Meanwhile, Ruth is calling Desiree to ask what's going on. Desiree basically tells her that they did cut it off, and Ruth is mad at them, saying that you're making us suffer, and it's not a third. So then Joan comes in and talks to Ruth about the money and everything. And Ruth says, "I don't want the money. I want retribution." And Joan is like, "Oh, you want us all to sit here and suffer because you want some retribution, and it's not a third." And then that's when Ruth starts calling her a snake. So clearly Ruth and Joan are on the best of terms. So then Zane ends up getting in the car, and she's stalling. Like, she's literally just sitting there stalling. And then she gets caught by the Agonites trying to escape. I'm like, Zane, you were almost out of there. You didn't even start the car yet. Like, oh my goodness. So she gets caught by the Agonites. So then the Highest brings one of the Agonites to Teresa's punishment trader, and basically he starts raping Teresa. So then while River and Andrew are getting water from the well, they see like some blood in the freaking buckets or whatever. So then Ruth ends up talking to the Highest, and basically he brings Teresa, and she basically like, "We need to bring sacrifices," and then she looks at Teresa, basically insinuating that Teresa needs to die. So then Andrew and River, the episode ends with Andrew and River finding George's body in the well, and that's how the episode ended. So that was the end of this episode, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 6 of Ruthless.